Good morning. Today is a specially called meeting of the Hood County Commissioners Court. Today is Tuesday, August the 4th, 2020. It's 9 a.m. and we're in the Hood County Justice Center, Century Jury Room, 1200 West Pearl Street, Granbury, Texas. This is the third amended agenda, and we're here today to discuss the 2021 proposed tax rate. No action will be taken. Ms. Kidd.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. After much discussion with the Appraisal District, Mr. Rowe and his right-hand lady, I finally got something yesterday about 5 o'clock. Their proposed rate is .427226, which is under our current rate. But I firmly believe that we can do better than this, and we're going to continue to work with the Appraisal District. They are still getting new information from the state on their forms. There's still changes. There's still room to work on this. So at this point, that is where we are, and I firmly believe we can do better than this.
What was that rate again?
.427226,
Okay.
which is less than where we are now, which is .428018. So it is less, but I believe we can do a little better. Two of the things that are driving this is the mineral rights value has gone down $300 million. There is a pollution credit, basically, that Wolf Hollow is receiving for $54 million. That drives your rate up. So that is what is kind of hurting us right now. But
That $54 million?
$54 million credit to Wolf Hollow. Last year it was like $1 million or $18 million. I honestly cannot remember what he said, but it's just a huge increase, which reduces what we receive. So that will also drive this tax rate a little higher.
What is that 427,226 a factor of?
That's a factor of the property tax evaluations and this massive new spreadsheet that they have.
But what is it a factor? What is the property tax evaluation that's factored into? Do you have that number?
No, sir, I do not. Again, I'm 5 o'clock yesterday. I'm finally getting this.
They blamed it on the new forms that they had and the glitch in the software.
And this morning I saw on listserv where other auditors are running across this problem. There's an issue with indigent defense monies. If you spent more last year than this year, then that's going to give you a negative amount. And if it's a negative amount, do you use a negative amount or do you use zero? And that's been a big question. And then there's more issues on listserv with these forms.
Are the other auditors in other counties having the same trouble with their appraisal district?
Yes, sir. In fact, I spoke with Johnson County Auditor yesterday, Kirkpatrick. They have an increase of about $700 million in property values, and their rate is higher from their worksheets. So we're all like, okay, what's going on here? And he and I will be in communication today, and we're doing the best we can.
So I know it's not on you, and I'm not trying to point the blame to anybody, but to me, the appraisal district is running behind schedule. Is there a reason why we should have had these numbers last court, right, Judge? And we didn't have them, and we're into this week, don't have them. What is the reasoning the appraisal districts are running behind?
I have no answer for that. I have called and emailed and done everything I can to get these numbers.
Yeah, I know you have. I've been in close contact with you and waiting on the appraisal district.
But we are working well together.
Good.
To try to get this resolved.
Good.
We want to do the best we can for the taxpayers.
Yes.
So what is the total amount of, at this 427,226 rate,
Yes, sir.
what is the total amount of taxes that, in other words, what's the quotient or the final number that it's going to raise?
It's probably going to change before I get back to my office, so I don't have a good answer for that.
Well, how do you know, where do they come up with 427,226 if you don't know what the answer is?
Commissioner, I'm trying to work on this, and every time I get a new form from them, things change. I'll be happy to have my staff print it off and bring it over here. It's 75 lines long, where last year it was like 35, so there's a huge amount of differences, and I was having a hard time making heads or tails of it myself.
But And I'm just trying to work through this myself, okay? Because last year was my first go rodeo with the budget, and this is my second time around. And what I'm trying to understand, here's what I'm trying to understand. This 427, 226 rate was, they came up with that somewhere, and it's something that you multiply into the total tax appraised value, correct?
It is your net taxable value times what percentage that's on there. I believe you divide it by 100, and then you get to this rate.
So there has to be a number that they came up with to back into this percentage, right?
I'm sure they did, and it's on that form, and I do not have it because it will change before I get back to my office. I've talked to them this morning, and that will change. So
Okay,
there was-
let me back up to last year then. Last year's rate was what, 428,018?
Yes, sir.
What number was that multiplied by to come up with the total?
I don't have that information in front of me. I will have all that at the next meeting when I can clearly state where we are, what they're taxing, what the net taxable value is, because that's going to change. There are far more credits, debits, there's so many more parts, moving parts to this new form than there was last year. So auditors, CPAs are struggling with it, and then all of a sudden they tell you, well, we have an error in it. And that was, I think, Friday.
So how's the taxpayer supposed to figure out how's the taxpayer supposed to figure this out?
That's a good question.
What I'm hearing, this, in your opinion, we're not going to agree to this 427, 226.
That is not my plan. No, sir. We will be lower than this.
What other information are you going to need to have that change? Additional stuff from the district, or?
I will see what money we need and work within those parameters.
Well,
That's what you set your
you've
tax
already-
rate on.
But you've already done that. You've given them your expenses, so that's how they come up with the tax. I mean, this is basic 101 for me, so excuse me for asking the question.
You would think that, but again, with these new forms, we never had to include any monies we spent for indigent attorneys. That was never included. Things of that nature have changed, and again, one of the big driving factors is the reduction in mineral values and the pollution abatement, call it an abatement or credit, to Wolf Hollow. That's $354 million less. Your property values probably offset that, the increase in property values. So you're kind of close to zero on growth in a sense. So that would bring it to about that tax rate. So I see where they are, I see why they are here, but I'm still working with them to get this lower.
So do you think you could lower this 427, 226?
Yes, sir, I do. But I want to give them every opportunity to get the form straight and give me a better answer than this if one does come.
Well, this was supposed to go out to the paper and posted in the paper on July the 30th from the appraisal district, wasn't it?
There's so many new guidelines from Senate Bill 2 on what you're supposed to do. He needed to know when we were having a meeting, I thought he was going to put that in the paper. I doubt that is in the paper, because they did not have even a proposed rate until last night.
Well, I think what Commissioner Eagle is really saying is that we have in the general fund, which is for the taxes for the taxpayer, not road ops and not the library.
Correct.
Is that we've got about $7,066,915,000 in valuation of taxable property
And that was for last year.
for last year.
Yes, sir. And
And
from
then
that,
there's
you,
certain things that are frozen, like
Yes,
if you're
sir.
over 65 or whatever. Then you get a kind of a net base that's in excess of $5 billion.
that's correct.
And then you cannot exceed the total revenue, according to Senate bill, by more than 3.5%, correct?
Yes, sir, and that is one of the things I have reminded the appraisal district about every time I talk to them.
So you see, it's a functioning of those numbers, but there's a lot of other moving parts
Yes, sir.
that go into it, and until we get that from the appraisal district. And I can't understand the software that they have in software problems. When you and I were in your office yesterday, and we were talking, or trying to talk to the appraiser office, let me say that, I didn't get the same warm fuzzy feeling that you did. We couldn't, there's a lot of questions that they didn't ask us, and they just said, well, the software was down over the weekend. Well, I know our IT people, they'll work over the weekend to get our software fixed. Well, I don't understand that, especially something this important.
Well, I did get them down from 429 to 427,
Well,
so that was a
Yep.
start.
well, I'm not so much interested in the bottom number, because we know it cannot exceed a certain percentage,
That's correct.
okay?
And Judge, you
But
remember?
it's like Commissioner Eagles said, it's how we get to that number. You know, when algebra used to get the kid that'd come up there and he know that the number was 2x, but if you went up there and asked him to work the problem, he couldn't work the problem. That's because he got 2x off of somebody else's paper. Don't be laughing up there, Commissioner Andrews down there. You know, he couldn't work the problem. That's what I mean. We need to get the right numbers, and somehow or another, we can't get the right numbers in the formula.
I'm still waiting to get the truth in taxation software. We call them every day. Melanie, my assistant, she emails them, she talks to them every day. That is the software that we use to plug in these numbers to get our publications and to get the tax rate.
Who makes the
utilize-
software? Who designs it? Or
Linebarger has something to do with it, but they're not the main company. We talked about this yesterday. She talked to them yesterday. They said they were going to email me the form. I do not have it. I came in early to see if I got it overnight, which I've actually checked from home. I still don't have it. But Commissioner Eagle, once I get that form, I use the numbers that are given to us by the appraisal district. These aren't numbers that we can come up with. We don't have ARB values and what property's on, what's off. There's so many different pieces of information that we need from the appraisal district. I wouldn't even dream of trying to give you numbers right now until I can get it set in stone.
But let me, okay, now that so let's talk this through. And let's act, just treat me like I'm in the 6th grade. A lot of people would agree with that. The appraisal district's going to have an appraised value for all the properties, correct?
Yes, they
They
do.
know how to get that number.
They have that number.
And then there's going to be certain properties that are frozen, that are taken off, right?
Yes.
And certain other deductions or exemptions that are going to come off. And when they get through with that, when they put a line across here, there's going to be a number by which we multiply our rate to get a number that we're going to collect in taxes. Is that correct?
That's correct. And you have that information.
So the other function then is a function of our budget. Depends on how much money we think
That's
we
correct.
need, right?
That's correct.
So
And-
what I'm having a problem with is why can't we do that math ourselves?
We can do that math, and I have a rate in my head, which I will not talk about, because it is lower than this. But one of the things that worries me is this 354 million drop. I don't want to cut ours to the point where we suffer, and we don't have enough money to function. But until I get all my numbers in place, till the appraisal district hands me a correct, viable worksheet, I'm kind of right here. But yes, sir, I do have my own number.
Well, okay, can we do this? Can we get the bottom line number from last year? We can get that, right?
Yes, sir.
And we can,
And you have that, too.
well, I know, but it's in a stack somewhere. I'll have to refresh where it is. And we can take the rate that we came up with last year, and that over here is going to give us a number, correct?
It will give you a number.
The product of the appraised value that we're going to multiply by times the rate is going to give us a number.
That's what I'm working with.
So what I want to see is what did we do last year, what our budget is, proposed to be, and so we can compare it to this year. That's what I want to make sure I understand.
You have that spreadsheet too.
But you just told us we don't have the numbers yet for this year.
But you have the spreadsheet that I'm using for my number, that I've used since I've been here, that Stan McBroom put in place. He followed the tax code, and he set the parameters in there and the formulas, and that's what we've used for years. And when I get my work papers from the appraisal district, we would work within those two, what the appraisal district, what their tax rate was, and what I would come up with on my spreadsheet. They were never the same, but they were always close. And then the commissioners and the judge would decide which rate you wanted to go with. But I do see why this rate is up. I do understand that.
Well, the rate is actually down. The property tax rate is lower, what the appraisal district has, than what the property tax rate was for last year.
It is down, but their number last year was, this is up from their number last year. The appraisal district's tax rate, this is up.
Just the appraisal district, though,
Just the
not
appraisal
the
district.
actual property tax rate.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, did they tell you when we can expect that?
I'll be calling them again when I get back, because he's going to get some more changes put in his spreadsheet and talk to me then. But my hope is, no, not my hope, on the August 11th meeting, we need to set a proposed tax rate so we can get our budget online.
Which one?
August 11th, next Tuesday.
Now, shouldn't if the appraised values go up, that tax rate should come down?
Yes, sir.
But we'd less to create the same amount of tax dollars, right?
That's correct. Again, he's using this $354 million as a credit, basically, that you're taking it right off your value. So they would probably need to keep their tax rate a little higher because they've had to take that hit.
So they've put everything on the, I guess, the houses and businesses to try to make up the difference of this $354 million?
That's my assumption.
Well, if you find out something even this afternoon, would you send all the commissioners at least something so we can be
Absolutely.
looking at it even before the 11th so that we could have something we can do? I know it's not your fault, Ms. Kidd. I mean, I was with you for 2.5 hours yesterday, and it sounds to me like that's only one person in that appraisal district office that can actually do this, and it wasn't Eddie Rowe. It was some lady by the name of Susan. I don't know her last name. Do you know who that is? What her last name is? Melissa?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. Well, just let us know something just as soon as you can. I guess we can go any further than that. So let's get ready to move on to the next item. But thank you, Ms. Good.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, the next item on a special meeting, discuss and take appropriate action regarding request to increase the fire protection maintenance budget by $20,000. Chief Jeff Young.
Judge, Commissioners, I almost
Fire
hate
Marshal, you're not chief anymore.
I answer to a lot of things.
Yep, okay.
I almost hate to ask for this now after this last conversation, but hopefully my math will be a little easier. I don't think there's any letters in mine, it's just firefighter math. So basically, we've had a particularly rough maintenance year for the fire service in general. I've got 2 invoices sitting now that we can't process until we figure out where we're going to get funding for to do it. So what I was asking for was $20,000 to go into the fire protection maintenance line so that we can take care of these fire trucks as needed.
Is one of those invoices for a pump, the impeller on a pump?
I believe one of them is for engine 26, yes. And then the other, the workshop that we had last month that I had to attend via the teleconference, the truck that Chief Pecker had told you about, his invoice is still sitting on my desk. It's been fixed for a while, We just can't reimburse them because there's no money in that line item.
Ms. Kidd, you're on the firing block again. We got any monies to?
We have some money in general contingency and murder contingency that could be utilized to make these repairs. Whichever line you choose. One has 120,000 left and the other has 130,000 left. Actually, I'd prefer that you use the murder contingency because I don't think we will utilize that this year in any capacity. That's if there is a trial for someone who's been accused of murder, and I don't think we would get there this year.
And we could sure murder these maintenance items.
So we got one truck that's fixed, waiting to pay the bill, the other one is waiting to be fixed, right?
Correct.
And, I mean,
Well, actually, in most cases, the work's already been done.
on both of them?
Yes,
Now you've got the invoice and don't have an account to pay it out of, is that where we're at?
correct.
Doesn't-
pay
They
our
don't have
bills.
any money.
So you just need to make a transfer then out of this.
Murder.
Whichever account we choose.
If you agree to do that on this line, to move money from murder contingency into the fire protection maintenance budget, I will process that when I get back to my office.
Judge, I'll make that motion.
Motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to take action out of the emergency contingency budget to pay the fire protection maintenance budget by $20,000. I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Deaver. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, next item, discuss and take appropriate action regarding administrative assistance for the Commissioners Court. This is due to the unexpected and tragic loss of our beloved administrative assistant, Glenda Mockbee, and also the salary and benefits on this. Any commissioner would like to start this off by?
Judge, this has kind of been, I think there's been some regards of what goes on in that office. I gave everybody a kind of a spreadsheet of what she filled out and for the Evergreen essential functions. And, you know, we always talk about essential. This is my opinion only. We got 2 new court members coming in, 2 going out. This is a job that needs to be available and accountable and accessible to the public 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I know there's instances where you're not busy every second of the day. But to me, if I was going back in office, I'd want a full-time person in there. And, I mean, there's I guess some other commissioners think different. They can state their opinions, but I'm there every day. I see what that office does. It takes a lot of load off our backs. She takes a lot of fire from the taxpayers calling in. And, I mean, we can go through this sheet here and see what that office does, but I think, you know, the commissioners are looking at it and see. So if there's not any other deliberation on it, I'd like to make a motion unless somebody else has something to say.
Well, if any other commissioner has, we have one person here, Nathan Criswell, that would like to speak on this, and pursuant to the new rules and regulations, everybody that attends gets to speak for no more than 3 minutes on this deal. But before I call Mr. Criswell, is there any other commissioner that'd like to make a statement?
Yeah, I would. I took office January 1st, 2019, and moved over to my offices over in the old courthouse on the 3rd floor. And I will have to say that I'm pretty independent, but I spoke with another commissioner who's to my right that moved out to Acton a year or so before I took office. And I'll just speak for myself. To me, having a full-time position for 4 commissioners, I didn't need it. It's real easy for the phone calls to come straight to my phone. If I'm there, I can pick it up. If I'm not, they can leave a message and I call them back. And I've had no problem keeping up with my constituents in that manner directly. They call me directly. So, but with that, that's just me. With that said, we do have 2 new commissioners coming in, and I know that our former assistant over there, she missed a whole lot of work last year because of this reason and that reason. So this office can function without any hiring somebody right now. And in my opinion, we should defer this until January of when the two new commissioners coming in, when they come in, then they can be part of hiring somebody. If we're going to hire somebody for this position, I think they're the ones that are going to be, who will be in the position to use that person, and I think they should at least have input on that situation. We can certainly, I've already talked to our human resource person, Melissa, and I've spoken with others. We can make this work until the end of the year if we want to, and then let the new commissioners weigh in on a position that Glenda held for many, many years. And so that's my 2 cents.
I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. You know, I'm kind of like Dave, you know, I'm out there in Acton, and I kind of take care of myself to a point. You know, I do know that the travel was done through the commissioner's secretary. I do know that there needs to be I believe there should be a full-time person in there, somebody answering the phone and does talk to the public, you know. I was in business, in a family business, and I know that was kind of one of our pet peeves, that, you know, you want to hear somebody on the other end of the line. The issue I got right now is the salary of this. I know that the salary that was used was earned from a long period of time, but, you know, I think the salary needs to be more in accordance of what some of our other clerks in the county make. I do know it's very valuable to have somebody in there to help the new guys that are coming in. I mean, when I first came in, you know, I needed a little help here and there, and it was greatly appreciated. You know, I'm kind of like Commissioner Eagle, you know, where I'm out there in Acton, you know, people tend to either stop by or call my phone, and I didn't have as much contact with the commissioner's secretary as, you know, possibly Ron and James do, because they're in the same hallway with them. My issue with this deal is really just the starting out salary, and you know, but I can also see where Dave's coming from, of wanting the other commissioners coming in that have some input in it, and I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I'd like to say something, too. I, of course, have 2 administrative assistants at the old historic courthouse, and I never used Glenda directly. However, this is the Commissioner's Court, and I think that a lot of people stop by the Commissioner's Court at Annex Number 1 to speak to somebody. And it's important to have a live person there for the Commissioner's Court. I hate, number 1, to call up somebody, and if they're not there, to get some kind of voice recording. If it's important enough for them to come by the Commissioner's office, they need to speak to somebody. And this is important. Now, Glenda represented the Commissioner's Courts well, and I don't know what she did all the time. I know she had no travel, I know. But I think it's very important. I mean, this is the Commissioner's Court. This is the highest court here in Hood County that makes the decisions for all the county. It's important to have somebody there that you can talk to, and I think it's especially important for the two new commissioners to come in, to have somebody that they can help and rely upon. And it's 5 months until January, and they're not going to know what they need until they're at least another 5 months, so that's a year. We need somebody now to be up there to do that. So I really do think, I mean, Glenda had a lot of time with the county, so anybody that got hired in that situation would not be making the salary that Glenda was making at that time. Am I correct in that, Melissa?
That would be up to the court, and I'm sure a lot would depend on the candidate that you actually chose.
But she had like 20 years with the county, didn't she? 16?
16 years.
Okay. Well, here's another thing. All right, we're talking about budgets here. Our budget here for the general fund is $22,358,200. If you take her salary, which was what? How much was her salary, Melissa?
39,000 change.
39,000. If you divide 22,358,000 into 39,000, that comes out with what? 0.002? Is that about right? So 2/1000th of 1% to have the face of the commissioner's court that somebody can talk to? I mean, that's pennies on a, I'm a good steward of the county's money, and I want to make sure of that, and that's a lot of money. But to say that that's 2/1000ths of 1%, I think that we definitely need to keep that position. It needs to be a full-time position, and that's going to be my 2 cents on the subject.
Judge, one other thing. I agree with everybody, what they said. I agree with Dave. I agree with Bruce. I agree with you. My thought is, and I'm not running again, Kevin's going to take my place. We get somebody in there, me and Ron could kind of help train that person and show them what they need to do and be seasoned for the new commissioners coming in. If we wait till, like you say, January, and I get it, Dave, I'm not against you on this, I get it, but I said, you know, if we got somebody there now and kind of season them and showing them, you know, what they do, what they need to do, and the court can add some more duties later if they want to, or take some away. That's up to the new court. I don't have no say in that come January 1st, but we can have this person ready for the new court coming in, help them with the travel issue. I mean, I know there's mandated stuff that Glenda already had on her desk waiting for these two new guys coming in. And I just think whatever the court wants to do, I'm good with it either way. If we get somebody in there now and get them seasoned for these two new guys coming in, it'd be a great asset to the county.
Commissioner Deaver, our office will help them with travel, too.
And I do, and everybody, I appreciate everybody calling. There's so many people that called from other offices, said, we'll help, what can we do? Treasurer, auditor, Melissa's crew, everybody is called to help relieve, you know, the stress that we've had of losing someone that's been so dear to us, that's had so much job knowledge. So I just want to say I appreciate the team effort everybody's doing to help us get this done. And you was one of the first ones to call, said, whatever I need to do, I can help, and I appreciate that.
You know, James, I know this is to me, this is a very awkward and difficult subject to talk about right now. Because, I mean, you know.
We lost a family member. I mean, it was a family member.
I think it's all been said, Judge, just from my personal opinion, that I want to talk more about the position than I do the person, and I respect the person and love her well, but that position needs to be there. The professionalism in this county, that we don't have somebody that can answer the phones for the commissioners when they might be out on other duties, whether inspecting roads or various meetings, workshops and stuff. I want somebody there that the public has access to, the commissioners, just as the judge does when he's not there. So the position itself, for what limited time I've been there, a year and a half, that job's very important. Is it a busy job that they're in there grinding all day long? No. But when somebody calls, I want somebody in that office. I want that office, that position filled, taking care of that 8 to 5 days a week. That's just my position from what I've had dealing with it, so.
Okay, I guess, Mr. Criswell, you want to come up here and address the Commissioners Court for no more than 3 minutes?
All right, thank you, Judge and Commissioners, for the ability to speak on this topic today. We do have an opportunity, though we are saddened with the loss. We have an opportunity to cut spending, however small of a percentage it may be for the budget. I know that you all know every penny counts. I would just like to offer the following. If we could look at maybe bringing in interns from Tarleton or Weatherford College that are politically inclined, I think that would be good to help not only get young people involved, but, the good thing about interns is they don't have to draw the salary and benefits. Just something to consider, and I appreciate you all for your time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do you want to talk about salary?
Well, Judge, the salary would be, I think, and Bruce kind of hit the nail on the head. It depends on if you get a seasoned person in here. I mean, we got it budgeted for $39,000, but if we get somebody in here that's what I call green, we can't pay them that salary. I agree with Bruce. We've got a person in here that's seasoned and knows what all needs to be done. Up to the court to decide the budget. I mean, we can decide that when we go through the interview, if the court decides to do the interviews. I mean, we're budgeted for $39,000, but I agree with Bruce. We can't bring somebody in there kind of like,
I agree. I don't think you can deal with the salary and the benefits at this point until we figure out who we're going to select to have the job.
That's a good deal. I'm glad we're having this discussion.
I'd like to have interviews and, open it up where, whoever wants to apply for it, then we can pick, and then we can have the final 5 or however many, just kind of like we've kind of done in the past.
Good. Do I hear a motion regarding?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to allow the HR to post the administrative assistant positions, and the salary will be discussed during the interviews, and the salary will be set if the court decides to hire somebody for a full-time position.
Okay, motion is made by Commissioner Deaver for the court to allow or direct the HR department to post position for administrative assistant for the commissioners. And do I hear a second?
Second?
Okay, second by Commissioner Cotton. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. All right. I guess that's it. That's all I have on the docket. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to say? I guess that's it. Meeting's adjourned.